How's it going, everyone? Good to see you. Hopefully you are doing alright. So I've got something a little bit different for today's video. So CMFT, actually, who was participating in this race, brought something up recently on the YouTube. He said that he liked one of the older videos I did where I did a bit of commentary. Excuse me. Yeah, I did a bit of commentary on some hot lapping that I did. So I thought I'd do another one, but for an endurance race. So this was a race that happened yesterday, as of this video releasing, and yeah, it's on the Mora Raceway using the Style Wagon. Is it the Style Wagon? It's spelled, that's how I pronounce it anyway. But yeah, I entered this race last minute. It's my competitive racing return. I've not done any competitive racing for about 2 years, but yeah, I did some laps on this track during the week, and I enjoyed it. Like, I really like the track, I really like the car, and also they'd introduced tuning to Wreckfest 2, which I was interested in trying out. So the format for this, it was a Revline event, so the format was a five lap qualifying session, followed by a 10-lap sprint race, which would be the grid from qualifying, and then the sprint race results would be the grid for the 30-lap endurance. So when I was doing a bit of practice during the week, I was actually not expecting to participate in this event. I was going to be streaming. I tried to get someone else to stream as I really wanted to race, and as of Sunday when the event was happening, I was still deciding whether I would even take part in this event, and then it was more or less a last minute thing. I jumped in. It had the fastest racers in Wreckfest 2 on the grid. You may recognise someone called IQ, who is possibly the best racer on Wreckfest 2 and Wreckfest 1 actually, currently. Other names like Burnout from the OB squad. There was Joe Baird in here, you may have seen before. Ezin, LS1 Baird was on the grid. So a very, very quick grid indeed. You're not really going to find grids like this in many other places. So I decided to enter. You're currently watching the qualifying session. So during the practice, with the new tuning and everything, it became very apparent that there was a team called the Men in Black, which had IQ, Burnout, and Kirsty. It was a team event and an individual event, and they seemed to have found something out pretty quickly with the tuning, and they were getting like low 29s on this on this track with this car and track combination. So I was just like trying to find things out during the week, and I couldn't find anything that was quite as quick. But I managed to get a PB of like a 29.3 during the week, and I'm very confident with my like race pace and my race craft that I thought I could be competitive. I was hoping to get a top 5 in this race. That was my aim, just to try and get a top 5 if I could, as it'd been so long and I'd not really been around. But yeah, when it came to this qualifying session, there was 2 groups, so IQ and Burnout, and Kirsty, who was on their team. They had gone in the first group. I was in the second group, and I didn't even know what times they had got. I never even looked. I was just waiting for our group to go, and yeah, this is me doing my qualifying lap. So you have 3 hot laps, and on the 5th lap you have to DNF, so yeah, the timer doesn't start. So I'm on my second flying lap at the moment, and I knew that I had to just get as close to my PB as I could to have any chance of getting a decent grid start, because I knew that the other guys would be very quick indeed. So I was just ragging the hell out of this thing. So with the tuning, like, I don't really have any ideas on what's good with tuning. I've never tuned cars in my life. I'm more of a racer than a car guy. So I was just playing around with the numbers, had a little help from some friends on some things, had a few conversations, and I came up with this tune. It was so understeery, it was unbelievable, but it had good grip. It was, you know, it managed to get around the track in the low 29s during the week. So I just had to rag the hell out of it. I had to I had to turn very early just to get into some of these corners, because it didn't want to turn at all. In Wreckfest 2, I had stopped using handbrake, and I had to reintroduce it for this. So yeah, it was a bit of a tough ride. I had to like that hairpin there. You had to rag the hell out of it just to get it around and introduce a bit of handbrake just to get it round. But as you can see there, I've got a 129.583, and I've only got 129.3 and 129.4, and I've not had many 29.5. So I was pretty happy with this time. I was surprised I managed to get it in qualifying, as it was my first qualifying session in a long time. But yeah, I was just trying to do as quick as I could, and just, yeah, I was hoping I could improve this lap as well, but I don't think I did. So yeah, I got a 29.583. Yeah, I was pretty happy with that. And yeah, so once I enter the 5th lap, I send it, if I remember rightly. I just full send it and hit a DNF. But I had no idea at this point where I would be on the grid until we get to, I think it's here, like I pause it here, and to my absolute surprise, I realised right here, as you see, IQ with a 29.646, Burnout with a 607, I realised that I was on pole position for the sprint race. And I had never seen the guy, like Burnout, IQ and Kirsty, they was all on the same team. I entered as an independent, as I entered very last minute. But I realised here, because I'd never seen these guys practice, that their cars were absolute rocket ships off the line compared to me. And I realised during the racing that they had very good mid-corner speed as well. But so here we are in the sprint race. So the sprint race, there's no points available, or this result is not the final result for this full event. This just determines the grid for the endurance, which is 30 laps. So I just knew in this race I had to keep the fastest Wreckfest 2 racers in the game behind me, which is easier said than done. But saying that, I'm very confident with my racecraft, like I said, and part of that is my defending. I know that I can stay on my racing line no matter who's behind me and who's putting me under pressure, because I don't really look behind me, which some people may not understand, but I never really look behind me in any races. I'm just always looking ahead. So I think there's probably 1 or 2 times I do it throughout this whole event. But yeah, we've got 10 laps in this sprint race, and I'm just trying to get myself into a steady pace here. And as the first lap is usually the lap where most stuff happens, so I'm glad that I've got clear. I realised at that point on the start and finish line that they're very, very quick on the line, which would likely mean that they'll be very quick out of the corners as well. So if there was anywhere near me through corner exits, then they would likely be side by side. So I had to maximise everything that I could. I knew that all 3 of the black cars behind me, you can see that Joe Bairden actually got ahead of Kirsty, so Kirsty was another place behind there. But Burnout and IQ especially, I've raced these guys many times before, and with a tune that seemed to be working well for them, I knew that I'd have a lot on my plate here. So I just needed to find my rhythm and get settled in. And yeah, so we're just at the beginning of this race now, and I'm just getting settled in. Nothing really goes through my mind when I'm doing these races. If anyone's wondering what I'm actually thinking about, I'm just thinking about what's ahead of me, like, hitting every single braking zone, getting as close to everywhere I can. Funnily enough, like, I always seem to do better in events than I ever do in practice. The pressure of being in a race seems to bring out the best in me. Sometimes people crumble, but for me, I seem to love it. Like, just the pressure just seems to get me ultra focused. I know exactly what I need to do. At the end of the day, racing's very simple. You've just got to, drive your car on the track using the race lines that you've practiced, and just keep repeating that as much as you can. Sorry, I probably made that sound way too easy than it actually is, because it's sometimes it's not easy, but once I get into a rhythm, which I'd say at this point I'm getting into the rhythm here. I've got Burnout behind me. He qualified ahead of IQ. I'd say that was a benefit at this stage, that IQ was behind Burnout, but they are teammates, and I think it's on like the 5th lap or the 6th lap, I'm not sure if it was an overtake by IQ on Burnout, but he does end up ahead of him, so I'm not sure if Burnout just let him through. Like some team orders there, like hello Burnout 1888, it's James, can you let IQ through? Yeah, I'm not sure, I didn't look behind me so I have no idea, but yeah, we've got Burnout and IQ behind me, and like I said, I don't really focus on what's going on behind me, I just focus on the track ahead. So trying to hit every single apex, every single break point. My hands are already starting to hurt at this point because this car, well, this tune with this car was, you know, I'm turning the analog stick like the most you can. Like I'm just to get it turned in. You can probably see, if you look at the car very carefully, you can probably see just how much I'm trying to force it in with that front end into every single corner. There's not really much movement there. And yeah, every single corner I know that I've started to realise that I'm having to brake a little bit earlier than they do just to get the turn in. But yeah, and I know that like if I'm doing anything less than my maximum, then it's not going to be good for me. But yeah, I'll stop talking for a little bit now. I'll let this play out for a bit here, and I'll turn up the volume, and I'll be back as there is something that happens later on in the race. So you can see that IQ passes Burnout behind me, son. I kind of realised this towards the end of the 5th lap, that IQ is now ahead of Burnout, so I think that there's probably going to be a battle coming up, because I do know that these guys are faster, and with IQ as well, who in this event was definitely a little bit quicker than Burnout was. Yeah, we'll let this play out for a few laps, and then I'll come back to you guys in a bit. So when it gets to this stage, like I'm hearing the engine of the car behind me, which is IQ, and I start to see his nose. But yeah, nothing changes for me when this happens during a race. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm very aware of who IQ is. I know how fast he is, and it'll do me no favours at all if I focus on looking behind me or worrying about what he's going to do. All I can do is focus on what I need to do, which is stay ahead and follow my racing lines. If I start defending too early or worrying about where he's going to turn up, then that will just make me slower. So at the end of the day, I've got the track position, so I just need to react to anything that he does. We don't have any slipstream or anything in this game, so I don't need to think about anything like that on the straight. I just need to make sure that, like I said, like I nearly hit that little tyre barrier there, which is made of metal. If you touch it, it doesn't disappear. But yeah, yeah, I just need to keep doing what I'm doing. Like I feel like I've got consistency. I'm only on a 29.7, but I do have in the back of my mind that this is just a sprint race, and you cannot win the endurance in the sprint race, but you can definitely lose it. So I was probably at like 95 to 98% of my maximum. I'm just trying to get it round and keep it on the front of the grid. I knew that at some point I'd have to defend to these guys behind me, and yeah, I was pretty confident. I mean, I knew as soon as the race started, I thought about it a little bit, because I knew that the cars were quicker, and with the acceleration and everything, I knew that at some point I'd have to defend. So I thought about that at the beginning of the race, and then I didn't think about it again until it happens, when it does happen in a couple of laps. But I'm not really going to spoil anything. But yeah, yeah. So I'm just doing my thing, The main part of this track was this section here into the hairpin. You have to make sure you get it right on the curb. The curb was very grippy on the inside there. I realised during practice, so you had to get 2 wheels on that curb and it would help you rotate as well, which was very, very helpful for me as I had a car that wasn't rotating that much. But yeah, I realised on this section I was going a little bit wider, that little twisty section that we've just been through. I was going a little bit wider than IQ was. Mainly just down to the rotation. I couldn't get it really any narrower than I was doing. But yeah, that was in the back of my mind a little bit there when I started hearing IQ's car a little bit more to the left than mine was. But yeah, I do most of my when it comes to cars that are behind me, like I don't like looking behind me, so I just rely on sound. The sound is very good in this game, and it was in Wreckfest 1 as well. Like, with the sound, you can sense where people are. So yeah, I'm just going around here on lap 8 of 11. I'm pretty happy at this point. I was happy after qualifying, because naturally when you have been away for a while, and when you're at the age that I am, like getting towards, you know, the 40s, like you feel like, oh, have I still got it? And I was hoping for a top 5. Because there is some new talent in Wreckfest too, but I was not expecting to be here. So I'm just, see the IQ with a little tap there out of the hairpin. It does slow me down, but doesn't get me off track or anything. So this is when the battle starts happening. There's another little love tap there. But yeah, this is where it starts happening, like in the next 3 laps. But yeah, during this race, I'm just happy that I'm here. I'm thinking, you know, I've still got it. The pace is still there, and we are racing IQ and Burnout, which feels good. We are gapping the rest of the field. It's like us 3 and then Joe Baird are nearly 10 seconds behind there. So yeah, that briefly came into my mind though, that I'm just I'm pleasantly surprised at the pace, especially. I mean, I've never been the fastest guy on 1 lap, but I've always managed to deliver a fast enough lap in qualifying when I've needed to, and I've always had pace. I've always had good race pace, which you cannot really measure when it comes to practice sessions or the leaderboards or anything. You can't really see that until you do these races, and then you see who the people with good pace are. But yeah, IQ is well and truly in attack mode. As you see there, I get so much understeer on the hairpin and I'm struggling to get it out. IQ making an appearance there on the right hand side, and I managed to fend him off for at least another corner here as I get towards the hairpin. Every single time, if you don't hit it, you're just going to lose time there. You can see IQ is even further in the hairpin there than I was, but I know through this whole section I am slower, so I'm just going to not worry about it and just go as fast as I can here. Because this was the part of the course where I could keep seeing IQ's nose appearing, especially in the next couple of laps. Yeah, I just had to do my thing. I was pretty happy with this section here of the track. I feel like I had this nailed down, especially this last corner here. I have to get as close as the barrier as you can, and try and get your front left tyre on that curb as close to the wall as you can. Not that close, because sometimes it can grip you, but yeah, that was fine there. So on lap 10 of 11, now I'm thinking we're in crunch time, but I know it's not over because, you know, you've got IQ behind you. But I do see, I think I look up at around this point and notice that Burnout is not really in this lead picture right now, as we had about like a 2-second gap on him. So it's just me and IQ now for the win of this sprint race. Yeah, I'm confident that I can at least get second here, but we get a lot of understeer against. That's 2 laps in a row. I'm not really happy with myself there on that hairpin after I do it twice in a row. I do remember that I'm thinking to myself, you know, we need to sort that hairpin out, because IQ is going to figure something out sooner or later to take advantage of me braking a little bit late and getting too much understeer on that hairpin. Yeah, we're just, here we go, a little tap there from IQ, so now he's a lot closer than he has ever been before. And this is my favourite battle actually of the whole weekend, was this. So we've got side by side up here. I'm thinking he's got the position, but I'm just doing what I always do and just hold my line as much as I can. I'm not really reacting much to him. I'm just trying to stick to my racing line as much as I can. And it seems to work out for this lap at least. And I am thinking that IQ is going to get me on the straight here, but it seems like that the straight line speed wasn't all there for them. It was more on the acceleration. But there he is again. But I know this lap it's going to be the toughest one, as he's a lot closer than he ever has been before at the start of the lap. I'm just trying to hit everything that I can, try not to react to what he's doing, just stick to my guns, keep on the racing line. No point in me thinking about what he is going to do at this stage, and I'm thinking I've got to get this right here, I've got to get this hairpin right. And thankfully, a lot better that time. So I'm happy with myself there, because if you keep getting a corner wrong lap after lap, it can start to get into your head, but once you've done it right, it kind of leaves. Pressure is off there. So I'm thinking at this point, I'm thinking, well, I've got a pretty good lap here, and IQ's not really got any closer during this lap, so I'm feeling pretty confident until I see his nose here, where I've never seen it before. So I'm not sure what he's trying here, but it seems to get him closer, but not as close as the lap before. So I'm pretty confident here that I've got the win in the bag for the sprint race, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in comes the nose and a nearly spin there, and then Burnout gets the win of the sprint race. I managed to finish ahead of IQ. At this point, understandably, I am fuming with that, as I defended the full race, and then seems like a near spin ruined it for me. And I kind of was thinking here that's going to ruin it for the endurance as well, because I needed to be ahead of those guys to have any chance of winning the endurance. But yeah, it takes me a couple of minutes to chill out here. We did give everyone about 5 minutes in between the sprint race and the endurance to, you know, get a drink and everything, and I'd have spent most of that 5 minutes just calming down. Nothing was said or anything. Like, I have chatted with IQ since the finish of this event, and I don't like to report penalties and stuff. I mean, there's like a penalty reporting system that we have in place, but I felt that, I mean, we're going to see the endurance, so we'll see what the results are at the end, and yeah, it didn't feel right for me to report a penalty, as it would have benefited me hugely, so it would probably have looked a bit sus. But yeah, I wasn't happy, but we have spoken about it, and we are cool with each other, so yeah, there's no animosity there. But yeah, Burnout got the win in the sprint race, myself in second and IQ in third. So here we are for the endurance, and I know at this point we have got a long race ahead. I'm very aware already of the straight, like the acceleration off the line of these guys, so I know Burnout is more or less going to be gone into turn 1. And by the way, during this race, my room was hitting 35 degrees. We had a very hot weekend, the weekend just gone here in the UK. Very unusual, I know, but yeah, it was like 35 degrees in my room. I was already sweating at this point, and yeah, another 31 laps to go. So we see Burnout and IQ both have got me on the line. Joe Baird in there seemed to have good acceleration as well. So I know at this point that I've just got to do my best. You never know what's going to happen. Like, I don't ever get myself down. Lap 1 is normally where the most opportunities do arise, and one already comes here. I see Burnout there very uncharacteristically goes wide, so I sense an opportunity to go left of him, and I try and swing it to the right, but there's not really any room here, so I try and back out a bit so it doesn't affect him too much, get myself on the curb. All it really does is slow me down and allows IQ to escape. Then we've got Joe Baird in here as well, who was very nice to me on this part of the track. He could have put up more of a fight there, but I appreciated that he didn't. So yeah, I know now that IQ is in free air. He doesn't have me ahead of him slowing down. I know that they've got a very good package underneath them with their tuning and cars. He's got his teammate behind him as a rear gunner as well, so I know that it's going to be a tough one indeed for me. But you know, you just got to do what you got to do. You've got to stay on the racing line. And then again, Burnout with another mistake here, and this nearly ruins both of our races. He hits the wall, swings him out, and he nearly takes me out with him as well. it does get me the position. Thankfully, it didn't ruin Burnout's race. He does manage to collect himself, but he is down into third. So now I know I'm in second place, and I've just got IQ ahead of me. And I know that I need to get my pace together sooner rather than later, because if I am doing anything less than my maximum, then I am going to be coming second or worse in this race. I'm in between the OB sandwich, or they were called Men in Black for this race, but the sandwich of IQ and Burnout. It's a very precarious place to be, and you've just got to make sure that you don't focus too much on who you are racing, and just do your best. But yeah, I know that the package underneath my car is not as strong as theirs, so I've just got to use everything I've got. And so yeah, we try and get into a rhythm here. IQ's already like nearly 3 seconds ahead of me, which it's not a big gap, but when it comes to fine margins, I've raced IQ many times before, and we're talking like milliseconds in between us sometimes for some races. Like, so with already a gap, I know it's going to be tough, but I've just got to settle in. And yeah, we'll leave it for a bit now. But yeah, just during the early stages of the race, all that's going through my mind, for anyone that's wondering, is just finding my pace. Because when you have like gaps in between races and stuff, like that's the thing. Like I'm just focusing on getting my rhythm, and I'm already on a 29.678 there, which is quicker than any lap that I did in the sprint race. And I know that I've got to keep doing this. Like, it's got to be my absolute maximum throughout the full event. Like, nothing less will get me a victory here, because I just don't have the package underneath me. So I've just got to rag the hell. I've said to some of our friends, like, I was just ragging the absolute shit out of this car for the full race. And yeah, we just got to do what we've got to do. But yeah, I'm going to leave you with the race for now. So I'll put the volume back up, and I will come back to you a bit later on. So it is about this time of this race that I've all the kind of ill feeling that I had after the end of the sprint race, because you can't let that stick with you for too long. When an incident happens, like, you've just got to pick yourself up and get back into the next one, because I knew that I had this endurance coming up. But yeah, naturally, you know, it's easy said than done, just getting rid of those feelings. So I think it was around lap 5 where I was like, okay, like, that happened, and we've just got to crack on with this race, because anything can happen in racing. You never know what's going to happen with IQ ahead. And I know that if I was doing anything but focusing on my racing lines and, you know, my consistency, that it wouldn't do me any good at all. As we can see, we're consistently getting like 0.7s and 0.6s, which I'm very happy with at this point. And I know that, like, if I fill my brain with stuff that's, you know, that like maybe I felt a little bit hard done by or whatever, it's not going to do anything for me. So you've just got to get it out of your mind. You can think about it after the race when you review. But yeah, at this point I'm just like, right, I've got to keep getting these, and it's still not quick enough. Like getting these 0.6s and 0.7s consistently, it's still slightly getting away here. There's absolutely, and I'm doing my absolute damn best. Like I'm ragging the shit out of it. I'm hitting all the apexes and lines that I think that I need to. But yeah, it's still not quite enough here, so I'm just trying to find anything. Like I'm getting closer and closer to walls, to barriers, just to find time. I know that I've got a 0.3 in me at my absolute maximum from what I did in practice. But in practice and in qualifying, you know, you're trying to, you know, you're taking more risks. I mean, I have like in my brain, I don't know if this makes sense to anyone, but in my brain I have like qualifying mode and I have race mode. In qualifying mode, if it's normally like 3 laps of qualifying, so I'll normally get a banker lap, like my first lap, where it's not 100%, but like I need it to be quick enough to get me up the grid as much as I can, and then like the middle lap and the last lap, it's an absolute send. You just got to send it. You don't, like, there's no risk. All risks, sorry. Like, you're taking all the risks. Because you've got that banker lap in, yeah, I'm just taking all the risks that I can in qualifying and getting as close to everything as I can, not thinking about race pace. You're just, you know, trying to get the absolute best lap as you can. But yeah, in a race, usually you don't have to hit your qualifying pace. But in this race, I definitely felt like that I needed to just rag the absolute crap out of this car just to have any chance. So yeah, every lap was in qualifying mode for me, and I've never done this in a race in my life. Had to, you know, it was just absolute full sends anywhere. Like every lap it was either I'm going to bin it or it's going to be a decent lap. So yeah, I'm pretty happy that it's not gone to shit so far. IQ is still in sight, and I'm thinking, look, I'm doing my absolute best here, but he's not getting any closer to me. Burnout is getting closer to the rear of me. They seem to have found another gear in this race compared to the sprint as well. We seem to be gapping Kirsty, who is their teammate, so I'm not worrying about him too much. So yeah, it's just focusing on IQ and the track ahead, getting as close as I can to every single wall as we hit now my fastest lap of the weekend, 29.519, my fastest lap of the weekend so far there. So, and I'm still not getting closer. It's but yeah, we're not letting that get to me. I just need to stay in my lane and run my own race. And yeah, so that's what we're doing right now. We're just hitting the pace. There's really not, I mean, like when CMFT mentioned in that hot lapping video I did that he enjoyed hearing what my thought processes are of when I'm going through things. Yeah, there's not really much I'm thinking about. It's just, it's, you know, car on track, do fast laps, hit consistency, and that's it. I'm not really thinking about anything else. Like if you get close to a driver from behind, then you start thinking about, you know, what overtaking are you going to do. You start to look at the car ahead. You start to figure out where are they braking, what are they doing, where is the opportunities for me to, you know, stick my nose in, you know, that kind of thing. But same with defending as well. If someone's getting very close to me, then you start to think about how you're going to defend. Am I going to move to the right a bit in a braking zone, or to the left, like block off the inside? But yeah, you don't. But at this stage, like, this is like 99.9% of the race. I'm just in this mode where it's like, right, pace, hit apexes, just do what you did in practice as much as you can. And you've got to do it every single lap as well. Like every single, you can't. There's no, like, if you want to win a race, it might aim. I mean, I was aiming for a top 5, but like always in the back of my mind, like you want to win. Like I'm. That's just how I'm built. Like I'm never really satisfied with anything but a win. And I know that some people don't get that, but it's just how I am. It's how I am with everything. It's helped me a lot in my life, especially when I was younger, when I did sports and stuff, and I played rugby. Like I started playing rugby when I was quite a bit older actually. I was 14 when I started playing rugby, and in my head I'm like, I just want to be the best in my team. that was it. Like you start to set yourself. Well, I started to set myself targets, and that's the same with Wreckfest as well. Like when I first started playing in 2020, it's like you start playing with your friends. Or I did. I met some friends online on a Discord, and I'm thinking, I wanna be. In my head, I don't tell people this. Like this is, yeah, I'm telling you now. But in my head, I'm like, at first I was like, I want to be the best of these friends. Like I want to be faster than my friends at this game. Like who I was in voice chat with, I want to be better than them. I want to be faster than them. I want to be more consistent. And then when I got there, it's like I want to be the fastest consistently in the server that I was in, which was like the Black Flag server at the time, Black Flag 2. Like I want to be always the fastest in the server. I want to be getting the fastest laps. I want to be winning the most races in a session. And then if I wasn't, so say if I was in a race and sometimes even if I won, but if I won a race and someone behind me got the fastest lap when I had clear air, I'd always leave the server and then practice that track until I was quicker than that other person. So yeah, so I want to be the quickest in the server, and then when we was in the server, when I started becoming the quickest in the server consistently and winning the most races, then people were telling me about events, and then there was like Black Flag events, and there was like a server called Manteln, and then you realise that they are the quickest people in the game, so you start setting yourself other targets. So my first ever event in Manteln, which is like it was like the clean event server before like Revline. My first target was to survive. It was like 50 laps on the Motor City track in a Wild King on, I think it was on like realistic damage, no stability as well. My first target for that was to survive. I qualified, I think it was like in 8th or something. And then my target was to survive, and that was a good target to have because a lot of people didn't survive that race, and I did, and I got 4th position in my first ever clean event. And then so you just keep setting more targets for yourself. So it's like I want to be consistently in the top 5, and then you do that. I want to be consistently in the top 3. I want to consistently be on the podium, and then sooner or later it's like I want to beat the best, and then you do your best to beat the best, and then that's what I did, just step by step. But yeah, as we've been quite away from events, like I used to do events like consistent, like during the COVID times and stuff like that. Yeah, as I've not done events for a long time, like I set my sights a little bit lower again. You know, I just want to get in the top 5, and we managed to do that. And then it got to about at the end of the qualifying, when I realised that I was on pole, my expectations quickly changed. I was like, I want to win. So I was already back to how I was when I did my last event like 2 years ago. Like I want to win. And maybe if I had that expectation before, while I was practicing, I might have done better here. Because I maybe didn't expect to be as high as I was after qualifying. But yeah, definitely after qualifying, my expectation was I'm going for the win here. And I think that helped me to rediscover the old pace that I had. But yeah, as we were on lap 12 of 31, IQ is pulling away and Burnout is not disappearing from the rear. I don't really look behind me, but I do look at the timing boards on the top left there. I'm not sure how reliable they are, but I do use them. So yeah, I do check them like on the straights. I'm seeing how close Burnout is behind me. Like I'll check on corners. So there was a few corners that I was checking. So just after this corner, I would look to the timing, and I'd see how far Burnout was behind me. So you can see there 1.2, and then the next lap I'd do the same again to see if, because like the timing is it's distance based, and it's different like depending on what corner and you know where you are on the track of how close they are. It's not like split. It's not split times. It's it's like distance times. It's weird. So yeah, I was checking on the same point of every lap, which was just in the last section of the track there. I was checking how close he was to me. I only checked once per lap, because if I keep looking at the timing board, then I'm not looking at my apexes and I'm not looking, you know, at my braking zones and etc etc. Yeah, once every lap I would check the timing board. And I'd check here as well. As soon as I come out of the hairpin, I'd check to see where IQ was on that corner, to see if he was any further away or any closer. If I could still see his car, then I knew that I had a decent lap and he wasn't pulling away that much. But yeah, we're heading towards the halfway stage of the race, and this full race, like the mid area of this race here, is trying to fend off burnout. I realise that like my pace is just not enough to keep up with IQ, but it's gonna lose me second place as well if I do not pick it up. And I realise how close he is here. As I said, look, I'm looking into the timing here. It was 1.2 last time, and it's now 0.5. So he is like gained like over half a second on me. And I realise he got the world record for the track on this lap. Lap 40, like lap 13, he got the world record, which was a 29.193 or something like that. You'll see it at the end anyway. Yeah, he got the world record while he was chasing me down. So I know that at this point I have to do my maximum. Like there's no excuses here. Like I have to take all the risk. So this lap here, I know, like if I don't do anything but my absolute best, then Burnout has got me. He's just done an absolute barnstormer of a lap behind me. I wasn't aware at the time how quick it was, but I was consistently in the 29s and he caught up like over half a second on me. So I knew it was quick. So this lap, I had to do my best, the absolute best that I could. So we're just doing everything here to keep it where we can on the racing lines, in all the apexes and everything. And I'm very happy with this lap so far. It feels like a good one. I'm trying to get the gap back up to a second to Burnout when I check on the top left, because I know that if he starts battling me, I'm just going to lose time. And if he like starts love tapping me into corners and stuff, then it's all over. He's going to overtake. And I look here and we are back to 1.0, 1.1. So I know that I've had a better lap than Burnout on this one after he had an absolute monster of a lap. And sure enough, it is my best lap of the race, a 29.413, which I'm very pleased with. I do actually look there to see what time I got, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I needed that. Like that was, if I didn't do that, I've lost second place, because yeah, Burnout was definitely, he had the momentum there. Yeah, I do feel like I had the measure of Burnout in pace, although like for one lap he definitely had that over everyone on the grid actually, because that was the fastest lap of the race that Burnout got there, was the 29.1. But I do feel like I didn't have the measure of IQ on pace with the package that they was running, but I felt like I had Burnout if I just focused on keeping that gap, because the gap had to be big enough where we didn't engage in a battle. This is what I'm thinking in my head. If the gap is big enough that we don't engage in a battle, then I have got this second place wrapped up. But as soon as it's too close where we start battling each other, then for me it's over, because I know that they've got a quicker car in all the places you want a car to be quick when it comes to overtaking. So as soon as I start like having to maneuver to defend, then it's that's all she wrote. Like I can't afford for that to happen. So we start gapping him again. I checked there, I'm at like 1.7, so like I'm building the consistency again. So as you can see that I did a 29.413 the lap before, and I think I did like another 29.4 or 5 again. So yeah, I'm just getting back into the groove. I was getting a little bit unsteady there with how close Burnout was getting. And yeah, we started to build the gap room again after he got within a second of me. But yeah, that corner, I remember that corner there on lap 16. I was not happy with that. After I built the gap, I had a terrible corner there where the car just wouldn't turn. But yeah, we had to make do with what we had. I was happy. I got very happy with my hairpin. The hairpin I struggled with during practice there, that first hairpin, but we managed to nail it just about every single lap during this race. But yeah, this the mid section of the race. Oh, that was a bad hairpin there as well, and Burnout gets close to me again. This mid section of the race is just a constant. Yeah, and again, more understeer there. It's just, this was a terrible lap, I remember, because I just worked so hard to rebuild that gap over Burnout, and then I had an absolute terrible twisty section of the track there where the car just wouldn't turn in, and then we're back at 0.9 at the point where I was looking at how close Burnout was. And again here I hit the curb, it just slows you down, nearly bounced me into the wall there. But yeah, not very happy with that lap at all. I think that was one of my only 130 laps during the race. That was a very disappointing lap there. And sometimes when you have a bad lap, you can lose focus. And I'm just thinking in my head, I cannot allow that. I can't allow it to happen. So yeah, we're in trying to get back into the groove again. I know that I can't do 2 laps like that in a row, otherwise it is over. And like I said earlier, like this whole midsection of the race as we're heading towards like the last third is just trying to keep building that gap over Burnout, like trying to maintain it to at least a second. If it gets within like 0.5, this is just using knowledge from the sprint race with IQ. Like when it got between 0.5, then you're starting to enter defend mode, because you know that like you have to think about where to place your car in certain areas, and then ultimately it puts you in positions where if you've got a slower package, you're gonna lose the position. So we're getting like 0.6s here between me and Burnout. It's getting too close. I'm trying not to think about it, but like I am at the same time, because I know that like my reaction was to how close he was to me. Like that's what made me react to, you know, take all the risks that I could with these lap times. So as I'm I see here as well that TT has had a bit of an issue there, and I have to take a totally different line into turn 1. It wasn't actually that bad, to be honest, but yeah, sometimes when you have to do things differently during a race, you know, to what you've been doing for like 30 laps in a row, it can, you know, get you out of your groove a little bit, but it doesn't really affect me that much, especially as it didn't really feel that much slower than what I was usually doing. Yeah, this whole process of this race, this whole section, it's just the same process every single lap. It's checking the timing screen at the second to last corner, seeing how close Burnout is, and then knowing what I need to do for the next lap, which is my absolute best, nothing less. Like I can't even settle into a pace this race. Yeah, I've got no time to settle into a pace until I am over a second ahead of Burnout. And I know now that IQ is pretty much gone, he is extending that gap. And I mean, props to him, by the way. I mean, I've spoken about the package that they had, which was very good with all 3 of their cars. They were very quick. So there's them 3, and then there was me racing with them, and then there's just a massive gap before the rest of the races, as you'll see in the final race standings. There's like a 20-second gap before the next guys finish the race. But yeah, credit to Ike. I mean, he's quick. He always has been quick. Like, I've raced him a long time, so I'm not just gonna give the sole credit to you know, the package that they are running. But yeah, he's a super quick guy. So you got to respect it. Yeah, but yeah, then I'm also in my head during this time and thinking, yeah, that mixed in with having possibly the best package on the grid. I mean, that's a winning formula right there. And but yeah, we're not at the end of the race yet. We're on lap 19 of 31, and I'm pretty happy with what I've doing in terms of gapping burnout at the moment. And once I know that the gap is over a second, it's when I look. So we're going to get through this twisty section here. This is the most difficult part of the track for me, actually. Just this full section here, just getting the turning, getting the rotation. It's like that's the part of the track that I was concentrating the most on. So yeah, as I go through this corner, I'd look quickly to the top left and I'd see 1.3, 1.4 to burn out, and I know that now I can start just doing my own pace again. It's not about doing the all risk minute, like, you know, on the track. Like, I can start pacing and settling to a slight pace here instead of trying to do the absolute monstrous lap that I could, because the more risk you take, the more likely you are to lose pace. So in my head that makes sense, but if some of you guys don't understand who are maybe watching this, like if you do like an all or nothing lap in qualifying, it'll either be your best lap or you'll bin it, or you'll just, because you're just aiming for the absolute maximum, like you're more likely to make mistakes. And when the gap gets too close, like when the gap is too close, like to the person behind me, I know that I have no other choice but to do that, to do the all risks, because you know I need to do the, it needs to be my absolute best lap. There's no other option. But yeah, once there's no need for that to happen, then I can do my pace, and I know that I can consistently do around the same times every single lap, because I'd done like a pace run during the, I think it was on the Friday, I did like 30 laps on my own, and I knew that I could consistently do like under 0.8s, like 0.7s. I knew that I could do that every single lap. So like I'm confident in my pace when it comes to racing. Like if I know, if I've done like a pace run, I know that if I can do that every single lap, so I can just settle into the pace. But yeah, if people get too close for comfort, then I've got to get into qualifying mode, which comes with risks. Yeah, if some people might be thinking, oh, well, why don't you just do qualifying mode the full race, and then that maybe you could catch up to IQ. I wish it was that simple. But yeah, if you ultimately, if you do your absolute maximum qualifying pace in a race, you're gonna crash. Well, I'm gonna crash. I can't speak for everyone else, but I would crash. Okay, I would make too many mistakes and I would crash. And it's not saying that I'm not doing my maximum when I'm pacing. Like, it is still my maximum, but it's a zone, it's a flow state. It's knowing that you can do within a couple of tenths the same lap every single lap. And I really hope that makes sense to some of you guys. But yeah, it's knowing that you can do the same lap every lap, as opposed to knowing that you could possibly get your best lap ever, but you could also make a lot of mistakes and bin it and your race is over. So yeah. So we're in the closing stages now, 10 laps to go, and I'm at like a 1.5 to burn out, so I'm happy with that. IQ is running away. Even if he made a mistake, then we're not really close here. But yeah, I'm going to let this run for a bit, because that full mid stage of the race was probably the highlight of the race for me. It's, you know, just building that consistency, building that gap to burn out, as he got a little bit too close for comfort. And then at this stage of the race, I'm not sure anything happens, but anything does, I'll come back. But for now, I'll turn the volume back up and leave you to it. Yeah, I remember on this part of the race, I was a bit disappointed with my previous lap. I think that was close to a 130. It might have been a very high 129. Yeah, I was thinking it's getting to the end of the race now. I cannot afford to let the concentration slip. Start to realise there as well that the car of there's a car of Seb there that's DNF before the first hairpin. So like I think I do mention it during the race. You might hear me in this recording say it to the other drivers that there's a DNF car before the first hairpin. Watch out, because it does start to get closer and closer to the racing line. But yeah, at this point in the race, I'm thinking I don't want to lose concentration. In my thoughts, I'm thinking IQ doesn't really make that many mistakes in a race. It doesn't really make catastrophic ones, and it doesn't really need to make take that many risks at this point. So I'm thinking that the first position is probably lost here, and I've just got to make sure that I hold on for this second, because burnout is still there, although the gap is, you know, about 2 seconds at this stage. But I know that if I start losing concentration, I think I get like a 0.7 there, so I'll build the consistency back up again after a disappointing lap with the lap before. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the recovery on that lap. Yeah, we're reaching the closing stages, and this is the most dangerous part of the event for me, is the closing stages, because sometimes that car wasn't helping as well. I was thinking, oh, next lap, is that going to be completely in the racing line? So I was thinking that sometimes. Yeah, the closing stages for me, because sometimes I don't know what it is. I don't know if everyone is like this or if it's just me, but sometimes I can, like, because like in a race, like, you're just full of adrenaline. It's always like the adrenaline's pumping throughout the race, and you're super focused. But sometimes for me, that can disappear in the last few laps, and then you kind of you have to kind of work through the last 3 laps without the adrenaline going, which I don't know if anyone understands that. But like I said earlier, like in events, I'm always more consistent and usually quicker than I am in practice, because in practice I don't have the adrenaline, the nerves are not there. The nerves seem to help me to focus, and sometimes in a race, and I think it was around like lap 29 that we're entering now, like all the adrenaline starts to go, because you know that you're getting towards the end of the race, and like my body just kind of reacts by, you know, it stops pumping your body full of adrenaline, and the nerves go away, which for me is not good. So then you're just kind of running on what you have left, which is just your knowledge of the track, but like that ultra focus starts to go. And I've been in situations before where you're winning a race, even when I'm winning a race, and you've got, you know, very fast guys behind you, and you just have to rely on pure grit and determination just to pull through the last few laps. I'm starting to see that IQ is not even visible on that corner now, which it was a little mini game, was to try and keep him visible there for as long as I could, but I noticed he started to disappear, which in my head is disappointing, and I get a very bad hairpin there as well. And when I get to this stage where the adrenaline's gone and the nerves have gone, and you're just relying on, you know, the determination and grit to pull through, every mistake seems more magnified and it's harder to recover from. But I do notice that the gap to burnout is, you know, we're at like 3 seconds now, so I notice it's not affecting me too much. But yeah, we're hanging on in there. Maybe if the pace has gone a little bit, but we're still at around like 5s and 6s there on the pace. But yeah, it does start to dwindle, like this lap and the last lap, like it just completely disappears, like all the nerves and just the pressure and the adrenaline, it just starts to disappear, and it does worry me a bit, especially on the last lap. But I just feel like I start driving like a noob. But yeah, you'll see it, like this lap isn't too bad if I remember rightly, and the beginning of the last lap is not too bad, but you'll see what I mean when we get to the closing stages of the race. I'm just glad that burnout wasn't closer to me. Yeah, well, I'll come back to you in a minute when that happens. Yeah, I start to sense on that lap that Burnout was probably settled for 3rd position, as the gap was like, it was 3 seconds the lap before, and then it was 4 seconds that lap. So I sense he's probably settled, and then when I realised that, it just kind of, just this release of relaxation starts to settle in, and that is not a good thing for me when it comes to racing, when I start to feel relaxed. And this lap, it starts off pretty fine. I mean, this section is the first half of the lap is the easiest part of the lap. But yeah, it starts to just fall away as we get towards the end of the lap. I mean, the hairpin was okay there. I think the second hairpin is fine too, but it's, yeah, the whole last section of the lap, like, I was just disappointed. Like there, as I just go over nearly into the mud, which I've not really done like all race. And the hairpin is not the best either. Yeah, we're just trying to bring it home here. I'm thinking, and in my head, like, I don't normally think these things at all, but in my head I'm thinking at this point, I'm like, I don't want to hit these, I don't want to hit these. Normally when I think stuff like that, I hit them. That's normally what I do in practice. In a race, I don't normally think about it until the closing stages. But yeah, here I just lose all concentration. Like, I have no idea what's going on here. I go wide. Like this, and then on this corner, I have no idea. I forget the braking zone. Like, I'm just driving, like I have no idea what I'm doing, and I nearly bin it into the wall. But thankfully, we make it, and that was somehow still like a 29 lap time as well. I have no idea. But yeah, we finished in 2nd place. IQ got 1st, Burnout got 3rd, so we got a podium. So yeah, that was that. I was very happy with Ellis1 Baird getting 6th as well. My buddy, my homie there, entering the clean racing leagues, and he's getting better and better each race. Yeah, very proud of that. Proud of that guy. He got 6th position. But yeah, to review, I was very happy with my performance. I can only focus on what I did, and I feel like I did very well. I do need to focus a bit more on the tuning. If we're doing races with tuning in the future, I need to gain more knowledge of that to hopefully claw some of that advantage back towards the faster guys if I do race again. I don't know if it'll be another 2 years until I race again. Hopefully it will not be, as I do love racing and I do miss it. But yeah, I'm very happy with myself. I can't control the spin. I mean, that wasn't me. Like, you've got to focus on what you can control. I was happy with my pace. I was happy to be back. I was happy with how it made it feel. How it made me feel like just racing again. Yeah, so yeah, I was happy with myself, and yeah, look forward to the next race. So hopefully you liked this video, guys. We've gone to black here because that's all the footage I've got. But yeah, I appreciate you, and I'll see you later on. Thank you very much again. Bye bye.